You're listening to Power Talks with Beth Ann and Melody Cedarstrom in the morning. We're here with Talk is Real. Truth is in the talk. And there's power in truth, and we believe Power Talks. And welcome to Power Talks this morning. We're glad to have you with us. And welcome, Melody. Good morning to you.
And good morning to you, and good morning to the listeners.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day here on the Maryland East Coast. Unfortunately, the main story, of course, is Irma, as she whips through a lot of those Caribbean islands, and one, I believe, pretty much wiped off almost the face of the earth. Most of the damage is up to 95%. But I've been in a couple of those islands, and I think that the Hurricane Irma is ready to hit on the Caicos and the Turks, I believe, and that's where I was at one time, and it just frustrated me so because I can't remember which little island it was, but it's only 6 miles long and probably 3 miles wide. It was not a very big island. And you could rent a golf cart and drive around, the little thing and so forth.
No.
And there's just so much poverty. Here you have these huge cruise ships that come in, they dock, and they have all these beautiful little shops and restaurants and everything that the passengers can spend their money on and everything. And it's almost kind of like a little wall that goes around there, very pretty, fancy wall that goes around this section, and you can still go out of that area, and I think there was a lighthouse and so forth. And we took our little golf cart, and I'm a curious type person, so I wanted to go into the neighborhoods. I wanted to see what the island, what it was like, and such poverty.
I heard that too.
Shacks. And it just irritated me because you have these cruise ships, millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, being spent on an annual basis, and nothing seems to flow down to the people of the island. So whether they want it or not, I don't know, but you would think that they would like to live in something a little more than a shack.
One of those areas was hit, at least 30 years ago by a hurricane, and they didn't think it would recoup from that, and it did. And I want to say St. Martin's. Is that correct? I don't know. It's a Saint something. And I just remember it. I have never visited the islands. My life is an island, I think. But I have a nephew that has some friends in that area that he goes and visits. Now, I don't know if they live there or just have a vacation spot there or what. But they're going to get hit pretty hard again. And then, of course, our neighbors in Florida are evacuating. They already have forced evacuations going on, anticipating this hit. We have, there's all kinds, and I've got an article here by WorldNet Daily where they're addressing this issue because the racists that hate Trump, now they're accusing him of creating these hurricanes to kill blacks and Hispanics.
Oh, my
He's a
gosh.
racist. I mean, it just is non-ending what these people will come up with. And then I have an article here.
Well, I heard the Russians did Harvey, so.
Just blame it on the Russians.
Yeah.
Or maybe North Korea is doing it. They're just distracting us with these missiles. A Delta Airlines flight, it says, with 173 passengers on board, took off from New York's John F. Kennedy Airport Wednesday, safely traveled to and from San Juan and Puerto Rico, all while Hurricane Irma bore down on the island. The round-trip flight was the last one in and out of San Juan before the city's air traffic control shut down the Category 5 because of the Category 5 storm. The airline created its flight team and meteorology department for its successful flight, and the Washington Post reported that when the 737-900 plane reached San Juan at 12:01 p.m., winds registered at 28 miles per hour and 36 miles per hour, well within the safety limits for that type of aircraft, and the flight crew reportedly managed to get passengers off and have new passengers aboard within 40 minutes. So it went on to say that they came pretty darn close to the outskirts of this hurricane, a little too close for
my question is, what would be so important that you'd want? I can understand wanting to get out.
Yeah, get home.
What would be so important that you'd want to fly there?
Fly in.
Fly in hours before a hurricane.
I understand flying out, but what's the
point of? I mean, it'd have to be very, very important. Anyway.
Well, maybe they were people that lived there and weren't home and were rushing home to try and batten down the hatches, so to speak. I don't know. You know, these areas that are getting hit, they're not like mid-Missouri. You know, it's hard for me when I do travel around in some of the areas around this nation that the topography is so much different and the landscaping is so much different that they don't normally put in basements. You know, they don't have basements, and I don't know if I could handle a house without a basement, you know, because we run to the basement every now and then with the tornado alerts or just to cool off if it's a hot day. You know, I can't imagine not having a basement. But a lot of areas, a lot of states, a lot of areas in states, even in Missouri, don't have. It's not wise to put in a basement, and that's really difficult for me to accept.
At the East Coast, we don't have basements here, and it is because I come from central Pennsylvania when prior to coming to this area, and I did have a basement.
Right.
And I did go down there, and during tornado warnings and so forth. So
but
it's like, where do you go? Where do you go?
Won't help you with flooding in a hurricane, but I had read here a couple of weeks ago, really gotten off track here, and then we'll get back on, where there's a lot of people. You probably don't remember. I don't remember really. I just remember the talk back in the day when individuals were putting in not storm shelters, but bomb shelters, you know, all afraid of a nuke. And that people are getting back to that right now, I guess, with these threats from Iran and North Korea, you know, looming, that people are doing that. And I would assume that some of those might be hurricane safe. Not sure about flood safe, but they might be hurricane safe.
I would think so.
I don't know. I don't know what they're like.
I'm sure they're waterproof, but yeah, I've thought about that. I thought about getting me a little, you know, just something for me and my little doggy.
A safe room.
To weather
they call
the
those
storm.
A safe. Well, a storm or an invader. I mean, a lot of people have safe rooms where they go and to feel safe if they do think they have something going on, whether it's a storm or an invader or something else going on. I know we experienced a pretty bad deal here many years ago in this little town with a shooter that was going around, and you know, we didn't have a safe place, but we had a gun and we were safe. But anyway,
there's also in this storm, there's a couple of things. There's a couple of nuclear plants that are in the path of Hurricane Irma. I listened to some of the reports, and of course they're going to tell you that everything is fine and so forth, but depending on the strength and the winds and so forth, there could be a situation there. Also, they're concerned about there's cranes. I think there's 4 or 5 cranes in Miami area that the high winds could, you know, certainly topple them. And I don't know why they just didn't remove the cranes, or if their cranes are difficult to move. I don't know, but
big cranes like that you just don't get in there and drive them
away.
No.
So I guess they're going to keep them and so forth. So there are a lot of dangers that are, and you know, I hate being so cynical at times, no. But, you know, with all this aid going to these various hurricane cities, and also President Trump has also, I guess, already declared Florida, emergency,
a disaster area. He's already cleared them for some, yes.
And, you know, I think to myself, well, you know, he does have his high-end golf course down there also. So.
Well, he did the same for Texas. In his defense, he did the same for Texas there. But I am a little concerned about this debt ceiling. We just keep raising it, and I was under the impression when Donald Trump was running for president, that was something he was going to control, was this debt. And you and I know that it's out of control. There's nobody that can control it. But raising the debt ceiling now, of course, it's temporary. He's wanting to do that temporarily. But
well, the problem is he sided with the Democrats to support a deal that would ensure the passage of the disaster relief funding for Harvey, I believe, and I'm not sure if that also includes, because there's not a lot of details that's been released other than the deal would ensure passage of the disaster relief funding as well as raising the debt ceiling and continuing to fund the government. And I think we're going to talk about this a little bit more when we come back from the break. But we'd like to ask the listeners, Beth.
Should President Trump have crossed a line? Did he cross the line, and should he have done that when he met with Schumer and Pelosi? Is that right? I missed that yesterday. Where was I? I missed it. I missed the hug you talked about. I missed it all.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Schumer is pointing a finger at him, but Trump's arms are on his shoulders, and it's they're ready to embrace. And you know what? If it was anybody else but Schumer and Pelosi in there, I could.
Yeah, but they are the leaders.
The intent.
They are the leaders.
Their history.
Yeah.
And so, to me, and even Mr. Trump was saying that, hey, if he didn't get money for the wall, he didn't care if the government shut down or not. So was that part of the bargaining chip? To me, it's more like this is all about deals.
Let's make a deal. Which door do you choose? Door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3? Anyway, the question to our listeners: should Donald Trump have crossed the line, and should we raise that debt ceiling? I threw that one out there first.
And the debt ceiling only goes for 3 months to 15th.
Yeah, it's
December 15th, and that's the last day that the politicians are in Washington before they go on holiday. So what do you think?
They'll wait till that week.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what they always do. And then we always hear the panic. Oh, we might have to shut the government down.
What did Donald Trump give up to do this 3 months? Because it only makes sense if you're going to raise the debt ceiling. Why wouldn't you do it for a year or 6 months?
I can't believe that the Democrats would have been against it anyway. They're always for raising the debt ceiling.
So something might be. I don't know.
You think something's afoot?
No.
They wouldn't be doing any wheeling and dealing. Not those D.C. occupiers occupying offices and cutting deals. They wouldn't be doing that. Oh, well. Anyway, it's amazing to me. And I know there's some other things that are coming down the pike, but this is something that's pretty big right now. And we want you to give us a call. Let me give that number out. 717-300-1218. That's 717-300 and then 1218. And the question is, should the president have crossed the line? And do you think we should raise that debt ceiling?
And the reason they're raising the debt ceiling and attaching the funding to it is because America is broke. I mean, we are broke. We are bankrupt. But where does the government get the authority to appropriate funds for specific groups of people or states? I mean, doesn't the general welfare clause, I mean, where do we draw the line? The states, all I hear about, Beth, are, give the power back to the states. Give the power. Well, shouldn't the states be responsible?
Well, there's no way for a state to have been prepared for the disaster that Texas just took. However, you're right. I mean, we can't. How are we going to do that? And then what's going to happen in Florida? Are they going to need the same amount? Are they going to have the same kind of damage and travesty there that we're going to have to rescue? We want to rescue. We want to take care of things, but how are we going to do it?
Houston is a very wealthy city.
Yes, it is.
They should be able to do this on their own.
Well, we're going into a break. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. And Melody and Beth Ann will be right back.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more, using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned to listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. And we're going to go straight to the phone lines. We have Joe from Arkansas. Joe, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. And how are you?
Doing
Excuse
good.
me, it seems like my voice is a little bit weaker. Yeah, I'd like to answer that question you threw out there. And that's no, I think absolutely Trump should not have worked with Schumer and Pelosi on raising the debt ceiling like that. And I think if he was seeing things straight and really cared about the country all that much, I think he would see that what the Democrats, what Schumer and Pelosi want, everything they want is destructive to the country and dedicated to advancing the cause of the New World Order and communism, and therefore should not work with them in any way, should try to beat them in every possible way. And I think the reason that raising this debt ceiling is so important is I recently listened to a CD by a financial expert named Andy Goss, and he said that when the Federal Reserve was created, they gave the Congress an unlimited line of credit. And so why would that be? Because the bankers make money when people go in debt. And when you and I go in debt, we can maybe borrow a few $1,000s from the bank, and the bankers can make a little bit of money from us. But the big profits come from loaning money to the government, because the government can borrow billions and trillions of dollars. Yep. And so that's why it's so important to keep raising the debt ceiling, I think, because that's the way the bankers make hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars off the American taxpayer. by the government, always going further and further in debt to them and owing more money to them. I once went to a lecture by a guy that, really knew money and banking and so on like that, and he was talking about the national debt. And I asked him, who do we owe the national debt to? And he gave me one-word answer. He said, banks. And so, I think the congressmen mostly get their money for re-election from the bankers. The bankers are ultimately the source of this money that funds the re-election efforts of Congress people, especially the Democrats. And therefore, they always want to please them. That's who they're really working for, not the American people. So their job is to get the American people in debt as much as possible so that the bankers enjoy a huge income at the expense of the American people. And so that's why it's so secret to keep on always raising the debt ceiling. And that's why, and in the press, that's owned ultimately by the bankers, they always pray those politicians that keep on raising the debt ceiling and keep on getting the country more and more in debt. They praise them as honorable and responsible statesmen, and then anyone that, like the Freedom Caucus that in the House, that wants to lower the debt, that wants to not keep on raising the debt, that wants to spend more responsibly, they smear them as kooks and crazies and irresponsible people and heartless people and all, just whatever insult they can throw at them, they throw at them because, they don't want the American people to have to go always further and further and further in debt to the bankers. And I think if Trump really wanted to do things right and really wanted to be responsible, I think he would have sided with the Freedom Caucus. And they were saying that, we want to give money for Hurricane Harvey relief, but let's get the money by trimming the fat somewhere out of the budget. In other places, let's stop all the irresponsible, frivolous spending in so many other ways and give that money for Harvey relief. So that's my comment.
The only places they ever threaten to cut is Medicare and the military. That's the only, and Social Security, that's the only things, and you'll hear them, they'll threaten that once again, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and that's who they threaten. Every time it's the same one. It's never the research for the mating of frogs. They never want to cut that. Melody, I know you were going to say something.
Well, personally, I think Schumer and Pelosi just played Trump. And I think Trump now is going to be run by the Democrats. And I think this seems like maybe the debt ceiling is only until December, then they'll just renew it, no big deal. Well, I also read that this still has to get passed. So, maybe this isn't quite the done deal that it's being portrayed that it is. But even if they do, even if it does get it, December, it's still going to be raised because I agree with you, Joe. They need to continue to, pay the bankers and so forth. And it seems like a little deal, a little help but I think this is a big deal. I think it puts a stamp on the relationship between Trump and Pelosi and Schumer. And I agree with you. We know their philosophies. We've known what they've done in the past, and to see Trump agreeing and
we know what they've done all year long.
Done what they've So I think Trump gave up a lot.
They still haven't given him all of his appointees. They still haven't even done that. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. Remember when Steve Bannon left the White House? He said that the Trump presidency that we voted for is dead.
Yep.
And I kind of suspect he knew what he was talking about.
Yep. And then you have to ask yourself, was it really true to begin with? But that's another program.
Yeah, it is.
That's another program. But,
I think they get in there and they don't realize how deep that swamp is and how quickly they can, the swamp creatures can cut your hands off and your feet off.
I disagree a little bit because Trump was in that. He played the system, so he knew the system more than I think we give him credit for. He knew his way around. And he might play and he might get the stamp that, he doesn't know how to get legislation done and he doesn't know how to move things in D.C. and so forth. But I think he knew how to play the game better than what a lot of people care to admit. But that's just my thought.
It's a good thought, and it's something we have to what is the scripture? And it says Mary pondered these things in her heart for the rest of her life. That's kind of the way we have to do right here, is we have to kind of keep an eye on everything that's going on. Joe, thank you so much for your call. Appreciate your input always.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, thank you. Bye.
I have a little story here that I think is good news. I'm not sure if it's good news or not. I think it is, but it's a convicted terrorist, and she's if I can pronounce her name right, Razmia Oda, and she's being deported. A federal judge has ordered her to be. She's a convicted Palestinian terrorist, and she also organized the Women's March. Earlier this year, the nasty women. She helped organize that. And they are deporting her from the United States, and her citizenship will be revoked. She is not a nice person. And so this is a good thing. I do believe it's a good thing anyway. So in all the wake of DACA, this woman's getting deported, and she's getting shipped out of here. And she's
actually a citizen?
Yeah. I guess she was. Said she was previously convicted in Israel for masterminding a pair of 1969 bombings that left 2 civilians dead and 14 injured. She was later released as part of a prisoner exchange, and she moved to the United States. When she entered the United States, Oda stated that she had no criminal record. But in 2013, she was indicted in federal court for immigration fraud, and in 2015 was sentenced to 18 months in prison. The prison sentence was to be followed by deportation, and she got out last year, or earlier this year, I guess it was. The conviction was set aside by the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, which ordered a new trial in April, and she pleaded guilty to immigration fraud as part of a plea bargain to avoid jail time. So she pleaded guilty, and she's getting deported. Yeah, I guess she was a citizen somehow, some way. She was a citizen. She must have got it fraudulent.
She wasn't a citizen of the United States.
Well, that's what they're saying. They're revoking her citizenship. That's what it says. Doesn't say when she got it, but it said it was fraudulent, so perhaps she obtained her citizenship fraudulently. So maybe she bought it.
Perhaps. Here's a little interesting story. And we still want your call, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
We still want your comment about the Mr. Trump and his hug to... That just irritates me.
I'm going to have to
shake hands.
I'm going to have to YouTube it. I know it disgusted me when what's his name? The guy in New Jersey. I lost the governor's name. Christie, when he gave Obama a great big old bear hug.
Yeah, same thing.
But, I'm okay. I am a hugger, so I'm okay with some of that. But after what Schumer and Pelosi have done all year long to the president, this is a little suspicious. So we just go ahead.
I would have loved to see the faces, the expressions on Ryan and McConnell.
Well, that's what Lou Dobbs, I missed the whole thing, and Lou Dobbs was saying, what a slap in Ryan's face. And, of course, he's always going after Ryan anyway. But he said Ryan's done. Ryan's done.
And in the morning, Ryan was just saying, there's no way we're going to do this, 3-month deal. It's silly. And then Trump turns around and just goes ahead and has nothing to say about it. So here's a little thing I don't know. A trial is underway in federal court to decide whether Kentucky will be the first state without a clinic that performs abortions.
Wow.
Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin, it's not for the fight for abortion free, but Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin said the EMW Women's Surgical Center is failing to meet state health regulations. So the argument is over a transfer agreement, and the opposed say Bevin only wants to create more barriers for women seeking abortion. But it is going into court, and actually Kentucky is one of 7 states with just one abortion provider left. And
it is going down, and mostly because I think, there are a lot of organizations that have been fighting it, but I think mostly technology. When you look at a baby inside the womb, and you can see that it most definitely is a life, and you can see that early in the pregnancy. You can see the heart beating. You can see everything with those ultrasounds. They are so high tech now, which is why Planned Parenthood doesn't allow them. And so the younger people are getting a little smarter. We still have a lot of, there was some woman, she's some actress, I can't even remember her name, and she was on some talk show, and she was bragging about her first abortion. Bragging about, that was my first and it was the best. And I'm thinking, this woman is insane to brag about something like that. It's just a symptom, Melody, of how far away from God this nation has fallen, that we are willing, just like Rome, to throw out the babies. To just throw out our future, just pitch them.
I perhaps abortions is going down a little bit, but I think that's due. You have the morning after pills and, all of these other things that,
that might be too.
Yeah, so it's,
but in the clinics, the abortions
they are declining.
I'm going to be emceeing a pro-life group next week on Tuesday evening in Lake of the Ozarks at Lodge of the Four Seasons. It's a Vitae Foundation, and you can just go to their website, vitaefoundation.org, I believe is the website. And the speaker, I can't remember her name. My paper's in the other room, but she's actually a survivor of abortion. She was a baby that was aborted and lived. And so I will be the MC at that, and that's going to be kind of exciting. So
that's very much so. So I thought that was good news, a little bit of good news. And I have other good news, but it's financial good news.
Well, that's okay. Let me give my Second Amendment good news.
Okay.
This is something you don't see too often, and but when you do, you don't hear it in the mainstream media because they will not tell you the good news. But this is armed employees at a Cleveland Taco Bell shot and killed a would-be robber early on Wednesday. The police responded to the store in the city's Edgewater neighborhood shortly before 3 a.m. and found, who goes to Taco Bell at 3 a.m., and found the suspect suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. The unidentified man was taken to a local hospital and pronounced dead. A second suspect fled the scene. Investigators say 5 Taco Bell employees were in the store when the suspects came in wearing masks and ordered them to get on the ground. 3 of the employees opened fire, striking the suspects. Police said no arrests have been made. In a statement, Taco Bell said the company was offering counseling to the restaurant workers and was cooperating with the investigation. So they, one won't think twice, but the other one might think twice before he robs a Taco Bell at 3 a.m.
Yes. Well, what's interesting, too, is down in Houston, there was one neighborhood watch group that they had the big sign out and it says, "You loot, we shoot." Yeah. And they've done some, remarkable work in keeping the looters out. And good job. But, I also saw a report last night on television that it was coming out of Chicago, and they were talking about the drop in crime over the Labor Day weekend. They were all proud that, the crime was reduced by 46% over last year, but they confiscated weapons. And I thought, isn't that an interesting ploy tactic that they're using to show by confiscating weapons that crime dropped 46%. So
Chicago is evidence that's not the case, and so
no, I figured they probably just about killed everybody they wanted to kill. So naturally, their crime is going to drop. Well, who are we going to
Not too many people left.
Not too many people left. So,
amazing.
So I thought that was kind of interesting too. So,
all right, your financial news. I want to hear that.
I don't want to tell you.
Oh,
Gold.
On.
Gold today is up $11.40, $1,345. Silver, and my track for gold for the end of the month is over $1,400, and we could very easily see $1,500 by the end of the month. So silver is up 18 cents today, finally way above $18. I can't imagine that it would come back down into the $17 level anymore. $18.14. We're currently looking at silver. Platinum was up $3 at $1,011. Palladium is up $5 at $946. So I'm running a little package today, folks. Gold and silver, and this is a small fractional piece, 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle, 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle, and 20 of the Silver Eagles, and they're 1 ounce. And this little package includes your shipping costs, and this package is $590. $590. I like the 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle. I know there's a lot of places on shortwave and various places that sell the grams. People don't know what a gram is. Well, you know, when you're looking at an American Gold Eagle, 1/10 of an ounce, you know exactly what you have in that coin that's guaranteed by the government. Yeah, I know those are kind of, I hate saying guaranteed by the government because, you know, our government, you know, that's another story, but it still is, it's highly recognizable and acceptable.
Okay, I need to back up. I have a question.
Sure.
Did you say gold was up $11.40?
Correct.
From yesterday, from last week?
This morning. This morning.
Okay. And so it is now at?
$1,345.
Okay. All right. That was a big jump.
It's a nice jump for today, and gold is certainly doing well. I mean, you know, with this debt ceiling, with everything that's going on, you have the lead guy, I think his name was Duffy, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the CME. He was interviewed, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago, and he said he believes gold should be trading today at $5,000 or $6,000. Based on what is going on with our government, our finances, and the geopolitical situations around the world. And this is a guy who is in charge of commodities. And so he knows what he's talking about. And I agree with him. If the gold and silver prices weren't manipulated, they could, and they will be $5,000 and $6,000. But he's saying it should be that high today, in today's pricing. So don't wait, folks, until it gets out of control. I think premiums will jump. It'll skyrocket once things really begin to unfold. So we have this little package, the 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle, much better than the grams. No one knows what a gram is. And you pay a lot for that gram of gold. Lots of times gold has to go to $2,000 before you break even. So my question is, what's the point? Oh, because it's small. No. Buy a 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle. Yes, there's a little bit of a premium on it because anytime you go smaller in the size of your gold, like from a 1 ounce, then you have a 1/2 ounce is more expensive than a 1 ounce. A 1/4 ounce is more expensive than a 1/2, and so forth. So yeah, your 1/10 ounce is more expensive than a 1/4 ounce. But it's not, you don't have to wait for gold to get to 2,000 to break even. So you can get more gold for your money. And so I really urge you to consider the 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle. The American Silver Eagles, they're beautiful. The date on those are 2017, so they're current year for the Silver Eagles. And this also includes your shipping costs, $590. So give Discount Gold and Silver a call at 1-800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188.
And to answer our question, should Trump have crossed the line with the Democrats? And what about this debt ceiling? Should we be raising it? You give us a call at 717-300-1218. We want to hear from you, America. We want to know how you feel about it. That's 717-300-1218. I have also kind of laugh at the topic on this this article. It's coming from the Daily Caller, and it's the CNN has pulled the investigative team off of the Trump-Russia coverage. The CNN executives explicitly told their investigative team to stop looking into potential ties between the Trump administration and Russia following a series of high-profile reporting errors led to the resignation of 3 journalists back in June. So they're pulling the plug on some of that anyway, at least at CNN. I'm sure some of the others aren't. They're still talking about it. Whether they're investigating or not, they're still talking about it because they don't want to talk about anything else. So anyway, I thought that was kind of comical.
Well, I guess they do have Donald Trump Jr. being questioned today on the Hill.
Oh, okay.
So that is going on. today. So a lot of these little things that were in the headlines, for so long during the doldrums of summer, certainly are taking a back burner, but they still are going on. And certainly with Harvey and Irma and Jose coming up behind Irma, and who knows where that's going to go, they certainly have taken center stage. And you know what, something again, I think I mentioned it yesterday on the program, the fires.
Yes.
That are burning all over Montana, Idaho, Oregon, California. Many of our listeners are
Why can't the hurricane
involved.
hit there and knock those fires
Knock those things out. Come on, Russia, get those hurricanes up there to the northeast.
You're putting them in the wrong place. We want our fires out.
Yes.
Oh, gracious.
So, a lot of our listeners are very occupied in staying and being safe. Because when you look at the whole East Coast, I'm doing my preparations for Irma, because I'm sure we'll get affected by it, and maybe even Jose. So I think there's a lot of people in this country that really don't wait until the last minute. Some do, but many don't. So just be safe out there. Don't take risks, because certainly your lives are not worth it.
You can replace stuff. You can't replace your lives. You can
Absolutely.
replace stuff. I am a testament to that. I have a lot of junk now. I had nothing several years back, but now I have lots of junk. It's kind of like you got to get more
You supported the economy.
To store more junk.
No, you just supported the economy, right?
Is that what I did? You don't realize, until you wake up the next morning and you have nothing, exactly how that feels. And as life went on and we were trying to set up home, I didn't have end tables. So I didn't have any place to set a glass of cup of coffee or a glass of water when I sat down, So I finally borrowed some really, really old ones my folks had that were made with particle board. And but you just don't realize what you've got until it's not there. And the small conveniences of just setting a glass down. I had to put it on the floor. I had kids running around. You know what happened with my glass every time I put it on the floor. It's like a magnet to their feet. But we're going into another break. Your calls are welcome. We want to know from you, should President Donald Trump have crossed the line in meeting with Schumer and Pelosi, who probably made some deals with them? What do you think about that debt ceiling? Should it be going up? Should we be raising the debt ceiling to pay for things that we think are important, but we never cut anything? It's 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. And Melody and Beth Ann with Power Talk. We'll be right back.
The Civil War did not end slavery, but it did put over 8 million black and white Southerners into the bondage of poverty. The Kennedy twins, authors of the best-selling book, The South Was Right, have done it again with their latest book, Punished with Poverty.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
The question we have thrown out to you is, should the president have crossed the line and met with Schumer and Pelosi behind closed doors? A little bit in the face of Paul Ryan, because Paul Ryan has defied the president every step of the way. And what do you think about the debt ceiling? Should we be raising the debt ceiling? 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. I have a little something here. We don't have to talk very long, but DACA, of course, is big in the news right now, and there's people that are upset with the president and people that are happy with the president. People that really don't care one way or the other. But this is President Bill Clinton. He's condemning and calling it cruel what the White House has done with his DACA decision. And as I was reading this was sent out on Twitter by somebody, and he said, this is coming from a man who sent a SWAT team out for a 6-year-old to deport him. He was a refugee. He escaped with his mother, who died during the escape. And so this is cruel what we're doing, but it wasn't cruel. It wasn't scary at all to send a SWAT team in. I still remember those pictures of, it was Ilion, wasn't that his name?
I believe so, yes.
The SWAT team coming in as he was clinging to his uncle, and they ripped him from his uncle's arms and scared to death. But what President Donald Trump is doing, sending it to Congress, which is always scary because I don't trust Congress at all, that was cruel. Even these people, they've had an opportunity to become citizens of the United States. They've had this opportunity for how long now? How long has DACA been in place? And it's still not done. They've got X amount of months now to get something done. My thing is, if they're squealing this loud, why aren't they in the process of becoming citizens of the United States and making it legal themselves? They just want a clean bill, just amnesty across the board, and that would be the worst thing we could possibly do. Again, going back to Rome. Back to Rome. What did they do, and how well did that work out?
I saw an interview. It was a university in Maryland, and the president of this university, he was Asian, and I can't recall how many of these DACA students he had going to that school. And he says, I'm president, and I am here to protect the students. I mean, he was in tears, and I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding me. Why?
Can't lose all that money.
You can't.
Come on, can't lose all that money.
I know that. Tears, come on, grow up, But he said it was his job to protect these students.
It is. It is their job to protect the students. I don't see much of them doing that.
But why don't they say we're going to protect
illegal DACA students? Are they only there to protect the DACA students? They don't care about the American citizen students? I had an article here, and I'm going to go into it in depth on CSC Talk Radio today. Really a good article from Ann Coulter. Now, she was kind of ripping into Ivanka a little bit, but she goes on to talk about why Donald Trump was elected and why different things happened and why the Republicans lost their majority several years back and what was going on. And she goes back to it was all over immigration. American voters have expressed this. We don't want across-the-board amnesty. We want the rule of law. We want the laws of immigration to be enforced. We have good immigration laws. You know, this Ramos guy that gets on, I don't know why they even debate with him because he never shuts up. He just keeps talking. And Hannity was on with him this week, and I think he was on with, I don't remember if he was on with Carlson Tucker or not, but he will not stay quiet. Now, they will admit you can't go into Mexico or any other country illegally and then expect to have everything given to you. That's not going to happen. But yet they believe that those laws should be ignored coming into this nation. Why is that, Melody?
We're different is what they say. We're different than all these other countries.
Yeah,
we're different. Right. Yeah, we're different, all right.
We're suckers. Again, I believe that the immigration and the trade issues go hand in hand with big corporation, and D.C. occupiers are cutting deals, and they are lining their pockets with this.
Absolutely.
I believe that's what's going on, and it's been going on for a very, very long time. But she goes in this article, you'll have to find it. We made Donald Trump president. What else can we do? But she goes in here in detail of every time that they lost this election or that election. It had to do with immigration. Every single time. Because what more can the American people do to tell Congress no? But, of course, that's kind of her thing. That's her bandwagon right now. So she's talking about that rather than debt ceiling. And
I think what we're going to find out, I mean, she made a statement there, is what else can the American people do? We voted for Trump. And I think what the American people, and, you know, I get hate mail. I voted for Trump. Don't get me wrong. I didn't want to have Hillary in there.
Oh, no.
But I think we held him to a level that he just can't fulfill.
Well, they're not going to let him fulfill
it's not, it. And personally, I don't think it's just they won't allow him to fill. I just don't think he is who everyone thinks he is. Correct. And we'll see.
I hope we're wrong. I hope we're wrong on that. But we have to watch. We have to stay vigilant. Liberty is never won. There's always somebody there to take it away. He's thrown DACA back at Congress, which is what it should have been in the first place. What will Congress do scares me to death because I don't particularly have a lot of faith in Congress. They're all a bunch of corrupt swamp creatures. They are the swamp. And so I don't have a lot of faith there.
And I'm not saying that Trump hasn't. Yes, he got the Supreme Court judge. I mean, there's some things that he's done. It's all been done by executive order. And all these executive orders, just like Obama's executive orders, can all be overturned, you know, in the next election and the next president. So, you know, some of the things and we have great immigration. Look how that has dropped just with conversation. Right. And just talk of
a wall.
Law and order and the wall. And I do believe they've probably increased their presence and gave the ICE agents and the border controls people the ability to do what they're supposed to do, you know, enforce the laws. That's what it's all about. And so, yes, those things are good, but we'll see. I keep my fingers crossed.
Well, it's something that we absolutely need to watch, and you do need to call your representatives and your senators and let them know how you feel. We have got to light up their phone lines, and we've got to be we've got to be an irritant under their skin. We have got to do that. We, the people, have got to make our voices heard. You know, Trump ran on being the voice for the forgotten man. Well, he said we're not going to be forgotten, but are we? Are we forgotten now? You know, I know he's done some things he promised, but I will say he's had his hands tied by Congress. The Democrats have been obstructionists, and so have many of the rhinos of the Republican Party have been obstructionists. They fight him no matter what he wants to do. Like I said, I don't know why he had to meet with Pelosi and Schumer. They're always willing to raise the debt ceiling. They're always on top of that. So I don't know. It's it's scary times. It really is.
It is, and a lot of the things that even he wants to, he's not going to do. He can't do.
No, he can't.
There can't be any tax cuts. I mean, and it's not even about Congress. It's not even about the Republicans. It's all about there's no money to do it. There's no money to do it. And I'll guarantee you a lot of that money that is going to be tagged for Harvey will probably go to helping getting his tax reform done.
That may be the deal. May be the deal he's finagling, because you know he's finagling something. I hear the music.
I do too.
You know, I love this song. It talks about being free, and that's what we're here for. Melody and I believe in you. We believe in this nation, and we are trying our very best to fight for liberty and freedom and constitutionality and truth. Power Talks. Thank you, Melody, for being here today. Thank you, listeners, for being with us, and we will be back tomorrow.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188.